Hello, environmental science. Purpose of this video is to give students an opportunity to get the notes finished up if I was going too fast in class. But primarily, there are a number of students that are out right now to give them an opportunity to hear me talk a little bit about the notes, and most importantly, in terms of academics, get them an opportunity to get these notes down on paper or into a Google Doc so they can get the points for them. All right, here we go. Chapter 10. Remember, please do these in Cornell note style. Also, please number them. And I'm going to be moving through these slides at a much faster rate than I would in class because you can pause the video and because it's Friday night and I'd like to get back to my family and eat some dinner. So we'll be moving pretty rapidly through these. Okay, so Chapter 10 is about sustaining terrestrial biodiversity, forests, public lands, grasslands, wetlands, and cities in particular. So forests allow for biodiversity and ecosystem services. We're going to abbreviate both of those. So stop subsidies from the federal government. Protect old growth forests. And harvest trees sustainably. We're going to abbreviate that as well. All right, so economic services and ecosystem services, pick 3 of the 5. So they do photosynthesis, which pulls CO2 out of the atmosphere. They help keep the atmospheric temperatures stable. We're going to abbreviate temperature as capital T. They store water. They release water. 2/3 of all land or terrestrial species live in forests. And biofuel, industrial wood, and medicines. Primarily medicines come from tropical rainforests. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There are 3 types of forest: old growth, I'm going to abbreviate; secondary growth, I'm going to abbreviate; and plantation. Characteristics of each. Obviously, plantation, they're planted. It's basically a tree farm. Secondary growth comes from secondary ecological succession. Remember, secondary ecological succession compared to primary ecological succession means that there had to be existing soil. And of course, they're going to take less time in secondary because they don't have to develop a soil layer. And old growth, uncut, undisturbed for 200 or more years, and they are huge reservoirs of biodiversity. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so ecosystem services and their values. Waste treatment, filtering nasties out of the water. Notice these are all trillions of dollars per year. While you guys are writing this down, I'm going to Google what the United States gross domestic product is, just to give you an idea of scale. The gross domestic product of the United States in 2020 was 21 trillion. We lose all that, folks, or even some of that, folks. That is hugely significant. Now, granted, this is globally versus the United States. Maybe I should Google that. Global GDP. So resources decrease in value pretty quickly. Okay, global GDP is about 84.5 trillion. 22 and a half, 23, 43, 59, 60, 74. Wow. That's almost identical to the gross domestic product for the globe. So if we eliminated all those ecosystem services, we wouldn't make any money globally. All right, moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, please use this as an opportunity to practice with your notes. What are 2 things forests do that are not ecosystem services? That's kind of a confusing question. Hold on a second here. I think that's supposed to be R. Ecosystem services. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, so take a look back at number 3. And maybe I said not because we're talking about economics, biofuel, industrial wood, medicines technically are not ecosystem services. All the other bullet points from number 3 are. Sorry about that. 3 types of forests. Take a look at number 4. Old growth, secondary growth, plantation. What are 2 ecosystems forest services provide? Yeah. Maybe that should have been. Sorry. I'm a little embarrassed right now. I'm sorry, folks. Okay, so this would be the last bullet point. Beg your pardon. The first 4 bullet points. For number 3, take out CO2, store and release water, help maintain the atmospheric temperature, and they provide habitat for 2/3 of the terrestrial species. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. Loss of ecosystem services. Since 97, we've been losing them about 20.2 trillion per year. Forests used sustainably. If we do that, there'll be an ongoing source of ecological income. Remember, the biggest problem with non-sustainable practices is get the money now. Get it now, get it now, get it now, get it now, get it now. And unfortunately for the employees of that business, after the number of years that you get all that money, they're left with nothing. Although if you do it sustainably, you get less money per year. But if you stretch it out over a period of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, those employees will maintain their employment. They'll be able to take care of their families. And it's better for the environment. All right, so what do? we need to use full cost pricing to include the value of ecosystem services and prices of forest goods and services. So if you are harvesting too quickly, we need to factor in the ecosystem services that will be lost, which will increase the price of those products, which will make it less desirable for those companies to pull all the stuff out of the ground or harvest all of those organisms as quickly. And that's the biggest problem with harvesting plants or animals is we don't factor in the ecosystem service loss or the economics down the road. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, when we're factoring in tree harvesting, you got to build roads to get the trucks in and out. Little vocabulary: selective cutting. Medium age or mature trees are cut singly or in small groups rather than clear cutting. Clear cutting is taking them all. And obviously, you can see this is a primary reason for lots of erosion. Remember, these trees up here, they are maintaining the root structure. They're holding the soil together. You're going to have less erosion. Notice clear stream, muddy stream. Remember, things that live in streams like plants. In a muddy stream, they're going to get less sunlight. They're going to have less photosynthesis. Organisms that need to hunt aren't going to be able to see their prey as easily. Strip cutting is clear cutting in strips. So even though there's a lot of erosion here, these trees and the root structures are going to collect a lot of that soil before it gets to the streams. All right, so types of forest fires, and this is something that is very common to your knowledge recently, if you pay attention. Lots of forest fires in California and a lot of the West. So crown means the tops of trees. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I have facts about fires. So surface fires burn the leaf litter, the stuff that falls from trees, the needles, the undergrowth. And it does enrich the soil. Crown fires are really, really hot. The entire tree is killed. Wildlife is killed because the heat it provides for the area, the heat that is exposed to the area, and it increases topsoil erosion because these trees die and they no longer hold on to the soil. Future due to climate change. The article that you will have read or will read very soon catalogs Alaska's fire season. Fire seasons are going to start earlier. They're going to end later. You're going to have more acreage that is lost. Forests are going to be drier because of drought. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What is an important economic solution in order to protect forests and the ecosystem services they have? Take a look at number 10. Yeah, we really need to include full cost pricing to help minimize or eliminate fast harvests. What are two types of forest fires? Circle the one that is more dangerous and destructive. Take a look at number 12 and 13. Yeah, so surface and crown is more destructive. Will forest fires become more or less common in the future? If we continue down the road we're going, they're going to become more common, which means, especially in the valley here in Sacramento, more bad air during the summer. So when people are out spending time with their families and their friends, or exercising and gaining mental and physical health, those times are going to be reduced because the air is bad. All right, here we go. Deforestation. 50% of the Earth's forests have been destroyed. The majority is in tropical rainforests. Latin America, a lot of it in Brazil. Indonesia, bad palm oil. And Africa. Alaska, a lot of that's happened because of oil exploration. Canada definitely has happened because of oil exploration. Scandinavia and Russia. I don't know about Scandinavia, but Russia is also heavy into oil exploration. Pick two of these. So, water pollution from oil exploration and or extraction. Lots more flooding because there's more erosion. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so the eastern U.S. was decimated between 1620 and 1920. But after we cut down all those trees to obviously industrialize and colonize, they grew back through secondary succession because the soil was still there, even though the trees were gone. Problem with plantations. So we're cutting down a lot of forests to export wood pellets as biofuel. And when we cut down those forests, many times we are not thinking about the creatures and the plants that survive on the forest floor because of shading that exist or thrive in those healthy environments. Facts about tropical rainforests. Most have been lost since 1950. Clearing trees accelerates climate change because remember, trees pull CO2 out of the atmosphere. And Indonesia, shame. They lead the world in terms of deforestation. And they are planting palm oil plantations. And if you see the sustainable palm oil logo on a product, question it, because there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? There are a lot of bribes, companies that are paying to be seen as good, sustainable palm oil plantations that are not necessarily. I choose not to waste my time looking into which companies actually are sustainable. I avoid it altogether. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Main reasons for deforestation. So instead of bullets, every item is separated by a comma. Most environmental problems can be tied to population growth. Poverty, ranching, plantation farms, largely palm oil, and global trade. But like I said earlier, if we can reduce the population growth rate on this planet, that will potentially help everything else. If you're planning on having a family, consider having fewer children. Number one, it will be cheaper. Number two, less people on the planet will be able to make the planet a better place for those that live on the planet to exist. Sorry, moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What are 2 environmental impacts of deforestation? Take a look at number 17 if you can't remember. Yeah, water pollution, flooding acceleration, extinctions, habitat loss, and release of carbon dioxide by burning the forests. And of course, if you don't have a forest, you can't pull in the carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Big problem with plantation forests. What is lost when they replaced old and secondary growth forests? Take a look at number 19. So yeah, you lose biodiversity. We're exporting these pellets to be used as biofuel. 3 reasons for the increase of deforestation. Take a look at number 21. Population, poverty, plantation farms, palm oil, global trade, mostly can be tied to human population growth. All right, here we go. Sustainable forestry. So what do we need to do? We need to charge for ecosystem services. Plant a tree for every one you take. Find the forests with the highest biodiversity, protect them, and preserve them. On slopes, stop clear cutting. Use strip cutting or selective cutting. And this is hard when you go to Home Depot or Lowe's to figure out which wood is harvested sustainably. Just requires extra effort. Do some research. Ask the store what lumber companies supply you with your lumber. That's a tough one. You can't really read the ingredients on lumber as compared to food. I have a definition for you. Maximum sustainable yield. How many trees can you take without potentially decreasing your future yield? Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So how can we help manage fires? Back in the 70s, Smokey the Bear was a big marketing campaign. Get rid of the underbrush and the leaf litter by prescribed burns. Let them burn on public lands. Remember, burning adds nutrients to the soil. It prevents massive fires. Do selective cutting if you live in forest regions. And use of drones, technology to locate fires early. We need to become more efficient in using our wood products. So the gentleman standing in what looks like a bamboo forest to me, but kinaf is rice straw. Hemp also can be used to make paper. Again, researching the products you choose to use or buy. Try to reduce the use of throwaway paper products or recycle all your paper products. I have a bucket in my room. I recycle all the paper I can. When it's not tainted, I'll pull paper products that were thrown away by students and put them in the recycle bin. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. A reduction in tropical rainforests. So instead of a country that has rainforests owing the United States or other developed nations say, we're going to get rid of that debt, but you're going to protect that forest. Pay them to protect forests. Punish companies that illegally log. And then plant forests on degraded land. Some of you might be involved in helping to plant forests or replant forests. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What are 3 ways to harvest forests more sustainably? Take a look at number 22. So lots of choices. Charge for ecosystem services, full cost pricing. Manage ecosystems to ensure that they remain healthy. Stop clear cutting on slopes. Leave dead trees for habitat rather than cutting them down. Buy sustainably harvested wood, which requires some research and paying attention. 2 ways to manage fires more effectively. Take a look at number 24. Educate. Let fires burn on public lands. Protect structures in danger by using selective cutting. Use technology, drones, to locate fires early. 2 ways to reduce deforestation in tropical regions. Take a look at 26. Yeah. Eliminate debt to protect nature. Crack down on illegal logging. And plant forests on degraded land. Moving ahead. All right, these are a long set of notes, and I apologize. Let's get into overgrazing livestock. So remember, grass and plants help maintain the soil quality. They help hold the soil together, so when you get rain, it doesn't have as much erosion. When you have livestock walking over the land, compacts the soil. Talked about erosion. If it's not overdone, grazing is healthy. All right, some vocabulary for grasslands. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so grassland sustainable management. Don't put as many animals on the land. Restore bad grasslands. Move the livestock from one area to another, to another, to another. And fence off damaged areas. Moving on to wetlands. We've lost more than 50% in the last 120 years of wetlands. And we're pretty good compared to other nations. I'm moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so planting rice or crops, cities and suburbs, also just building roads, extracting resources, and sometimes it's just simply filling in the wetlands to eliminate the opportunity for insects and other disease-causing organisms to reproduce. Ways to restore or protect them. It's hard. In the US, we don't have a lot of protected wetlands. And it's really difficult in the video to explain the third bullet point. But money can be made by buying these areas and restoring them and then selling credits. But again, credit trade is difficult to explain in a video. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There are 2 negative impacts of overgrazing. Take a look at number, sorry. $27. Yeah, loss of grass cover, soil compaction, less water, more erosion, more invasive weeds. 2 sustainable management techniques associated with grasslands. Take a look at 29. Restrict the number of livestock you have. Restore degraded ones. And fence off damaged areas. Two causes of wetland destruction and/or degradation. Take a look at number 31 if you can't remember. We plant a lot of rice and a lot of crops on them. Cities are expanding. And we try to eliminate breeding grounds for disease-causing insects. Moving on. Let's finish these up. All right, so focus on the Everglades in Florida. Zone 47 is a national park. A lot of development in the northern portion. Lots of decrease in biodiversity. 90% of birds that wade in the wetlands are gone. And vertebrate populations are down 75 to 95%. That's huge. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Everglade restoration. Largest plan in the world. Okay, let's see. The Kissimmee River, the flow of it was slowed or stopped. Get rid of all the canals and levees. Convert farmland to marshes. And return water heading for the ocean back to the Everglades. All right. Take a look at number 33. So lots of development in the north caused problems. Decrease in biodiversity. 90% of wading birds are gone. Vertebrate populations are down from 75 to 95%. Two goals of the project: restore flow of the Kissimmee, convert farmland to marshes, create reservoirs of water to support populations of plants and animals, and return water heading for the ocean back to the Everglades. Okay, some math problems. All right, so please try to work these out. Use a calculator or your phone. So calculate the above ground biomass in metric tons for 1 hectare of a forest. Convert 1 quadrat to hectares. If you're serious about trying to learn about the math that you might see on the AP test, you should pause the video. Here is the solution. Next calculation. How many kilograms per hectare, which we're going to call Z? Pause the video while you try to work it out. Third calculation. Calculate the carbon in the quadrat. Pause it if you're trying to work it out. Moving on. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Carbon offset, which we're going to abbreviate as CO. Here's the given information. All right, here's your first calculation. All right, if you're taking this seriously and working out the problem, pause the video. Here is the solution. Next calculation. Solution coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Last calculation. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the Chapter 10 notes. See you in class.